In 2024, we went to St. Martin, and then last year in 2025, we went back, and this time we decided to do one of those all-day boat rides around the island. It started near Pelican Bay. You can see sort of the pier there. And when we were there were these two women. I don't know if they were real influencers or trying to be, and I filmed a little bit of them. And so we jumped on the boat there. I think there were maybe 18 people. And as we left, this shot, as I say in there, it looks like I'm on a green screen and it was fake. But so this is going out. You can see the hotel that we are staying at in the distance. I think it's the Simpson Bay Hilton or something like that. So you're on basically the south side of the island. And as we went, I got really disoriented as to where we go because we were definitely going clockwise around the island. And so we passed the airport, which is going to be on the north side. And I think I've got a shot of it here. Yes, in fact, I think there is a plane coming in at the famous airport that you can see from the beach, and I took some video of last year. So there's an airplane landing. So we're basically going around the south side of the island right now. A lot of these are still shots because I didn't have time or whatever. I was enjoying myself too much. And I'm not going to give a blow-by-blow description of what we were seeing. I just want to give a general impression of the sights. So we're sort of leaving civilization, if you will, on the French side of the island, or no, we're still on the Dutch side of the island and going around, getting out of, in fact, I think that was still the airport. So we're sort of leaving where the tourists are and we're getting more into what I think is our first stop. And I believe the guy said, I don't know if this was a place that Trump owns or some, I think, no, it was a hotel you could stay is like $10,000 a night or some crazy amount of money. But there was some place that Trump owned down there. That's President Trump, for those of you who don't know. And so that was kind of fun to hear about that. This is just some random traveling, so I can do a little more talking. And then, and again, I'm not going to narrate what this is because this is 10 months later now that I have time to do it. But these are just some of the sights that we see as we go around. Needless to say, extremely beautiful, very smooth ride. I mean, we were going, I don't know, 20, 30 miles an hour. But as you see from the videos, it was a very smooth ride, beautiful day, as almost every day is in St. Martin, and probably 80, 85 degrees, and whatever the humidity is, no rain at all. We stopped at the first place, and it was basically just to get in the water and swim around, which was fun, relaxing. That was after maybe 40 minutes on the boat. And then we continued around, and I don't have all of the stops we made because, again, this isn't a narrated travel log. This just sort of gives you an idea of what it's like to go around the island. By now, I believe we're sort of on the southwest side. We're going up the west side of the island, so we're in the French area. This, I believe, is a stop. Yeah, this is where we stopped and did some snorkeling. This was sort of the major stop to do snorkeling. And I didn't get a bunch of shots of the fish, but I think I do have one video maybe of some turtles. This is where we went to lunch, and I can't remember where it was. The place was, I mean, it was fine. Came with the meal, obviously. And yeah, I think that's the exact place we had lunch. So the question is, there me having fun. Now that I think about it, these pictures should be in order, but I believe we snorkeled before we had lunch, and I haven't seen the shots of snorkeling yet. So now we're on the north side of the island. Maybe this is the place where we stopped to snorkel. Man, that looks kind of familiar. But who knows? Again, not exactly a travel log. Yeah, I think this is, you can see we're on the north side of the island there. This is the close-up of a beach we went to, which was like a private, uninhabited beach. And this is where I went in and got some sea turtle stuff. And there were, I mean, there weren't hundreds or dozens, but there were 3 or 4 or 5, and you could go under This is just with my phone, so nothing special, but very cool to see. And these aren't enormous sea turtles. This is maybe 2 feet, maybe something like that. If you go, I would definitely get a mask like that, way better than just a traditional one. So it was kind of cool. It would be underwater for however long, come up for a quick gulp, and then go back underwater. So again, a lot of fun to see. Maybe there's a handful of those. So that was fun. And this island, it's a deserted island, and you can see where it was sort of on the northeast side, off maybe 5 miles,
Here
four
we
to
are
five
on an
miles from
uninhabited
St.
beach.
Martin. And this is just a big old beach with
We
nothing
found
on
an
it
Indian
except
cave,
people who are visiting there. But
and
I
here's
don't,
one of
I think there is some
the
story about at
settlers.
one point maybe it was inhabited, but not so much anymore. So we left that beach, and then maybe before we left, I got one more shot of a sea turtle. I've got, this is very weird because I have these shots in order on my editing timeline, and yet as I go, I can see the next shot is of a barracuda. This was under the boat when we stopped to do the snorkeling before lunch. That was cool. It was literally right under the boat, maybe 2 feet long or something like that. So I'm not sure how these got out of order, but it doesn't really matter. Just gives you an idea of sort of, I probably didn't need that slide, what it was. Again, the water was calm. There was no one getting seasick or anything like that. And when we were going along, you can see that it's a relatively smooth ride. So this is going around the northeast corner, and we're starting to come down. And for some reason, I was, like I said, got super disoriented as to where we were, even though the sun was out. Um, and then we took this little boat over to, well, this doesn't show it, but there was a beach we were supposed to go to that was closed because there was something in the water or something on the beach, and so we couldn't really stop there. So basically the rest of this are just some sort of sights and sounds as we go around the island. Obviously very picturesque, very interesting. The guy on the boat was, the two or three people I think on the boat, very nice, very accommodating, interesting. You could ask questions if you like, but mostly it was just hanging out. Beautiful day, trying to not to get too much of a sunburn. This is kind of the industrial part where obviously a lot of barges come in and out. And how do I have another sea turtle here? I don't understand, because these files are all sorted alphabetically, and yet we're back on that beach, so I don't quite get it. But it just goes to show you that that turtle was pretty sweet. And then we're back here mysteriously, so we see a few more pictures, and then basically the rest of the trip was going back to where we started. That right there is a fort that we hiked to the next day. It was pretty cool to see that fort. But after that, the last maybe hour and a half of the trip, maybe not that long, was just getting back to where we started. And it was 7 hours. I forgot how much it cost. You can look it up. It was worth it. I mean, it wasn't the best thing ever, but if you've been to St. Martin and you need something to do and you haven't done this, definitely worth it. A lot of fun. And again, a great tour company that was hosting us for the day.